This city has made me who I am.
Dragon
Romanticy.
romance. Yeah, the cheers of the West
Side.
Side.
Cheers of the West Side. It's a beautiful place to live. The people here are beautiful.
Get ready for hot takes and insight from local industry experts in real estate, business, and lifestyle. He used to play ball with the Padres. He played hockey for the Lobos. Now they're crushing it in the real estate game. Together, they'll showcase the best of the Duke City. This is All About YouABQ.
That's right, it is all about YouABQ. The goal of the show is to highlight the best of our city's industry experts in real estate, culture, and lifestyle so that you walk away with some value and feeling inspired. The way we like to do that is to answer the questions you may have or interview the guests you want to see. So we invite you to join the conversation. Reach out on our social media tag up here or join our email list to get some timely tips about our community and real estate market. Hey, I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque. And here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. We're joined by Deborah Condit, the owner of Books on the Bosque. It's a 4,000 square foot bookstore in Riverside Plaza. Deborah, thank you so much for showing up today.
I'm happy to be here.
You know, you're looking great, you're feeling good, and
Yes.
I think this will be a fun episode.
I think so.
Well, we always want to chat about, what it's like growing up in Albuquerque and then opening businesses in Albuquerque. And I think that you fit the bill for the perfect guest today. So give me a little bit of your backstory. You're a UNM Lobo, but where did you start before there?
I was born and raised right here in Albuquerque. I went to West Mesa High School.
Was that Mustangs?
Yeah, I was a Mustang. Go Mustangs. It was a great school, met some incredible people over there, and I just so enjoyed being at that school. And
well, it's fun. We always like to tell the stories of people who grew up here. I'm sure you had, opportunity to go visit other cities, but I always want to ask, like, why Albuquerque? Why would you want to stay in our town? What are you nostalgic for here?
Well, I've never lived anywhere else. I mean, yes, you're right, I visited other places, but as far as, it's just, it's a part of who I am. It has made me, this city has made me who I am as a person. There's some gritty, hardworking, highly intelligent people in this city and throughout New Mexico that I'm so grateful to know and have had in my life, and, as friends and intellectual resources sometimes. And I don't know, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. This is where I love to live.
Well, that's good to know because, I had a chance to move away for a little bit. And it's funny, like you grow up in a town, you become numb to it. You overlook some of the benefits of living in a medium-sized city like Albuquerque, whether it's the mountains, the cuisine, whatever, the culture. But so I moved away for a little bit, and it took me a while living outside of Albuquerque to realize, like, wait a minute. Why I should probably go back there. There's no traffic. It's the cost of living is good. The food's good. There's clean air. Great place to raise a family. And plenty of fentanyl if you want that too.
Oh, no.
So it's like one of those things. So that's why I moved back. So I think it's great that you born and raised here, and then went to UNM. What'd you study?
I went to UNM and I got a degree in journalism, specifically print journalism. And so at the time that I graduated, newspapers were really just on their last legs, almost like bookstores, So I never went into journalism after then. I went straight into politics and started working on political campaigns and working up in Santa Fe, doing internships up there. And it's kind of one of those places that I just became really, really good at it, and good at recognizing just having a political knack. And so that's what I've been doing for over 25 years.
Well, I'm sure you've seen the landscape in our politics change over the years, whether it's, Republicans going against Democrats. And, I think the way that the media portrays it now is I feel like politically speaking, in the past, you would see the parties working together to come to an agreement to get a bill passed for the benefit of the people. Talk about how you've seen it change over the last, 25
years. Yeah. It's changed a lot. The collegiality isn't as the way it used to be. Back then, we would do things like you battle it out on the Senate floor in your committees, whatever the bill is, and then you go over to the Chama afterwards and have a beer and watch March Madness, and everybody's breaking bread together. And there's a collegiality with that. And
you have a duty to work together.
That's right, to work
for the
together.
people.
There was bipartisan votes on a lot of things. I mean, a lot of my clients, we keep scorecards, and you could see, where there was bipartisan votes and how that has since eroded, and it has become more partisan, and there, on how issues are passed out of the Capitol, it's really unfortunate. I really hope that at some point we can mend those bridges and get back to that collegiality. It's just, everybody's in this zero-sum game all the time. It's either this way or that way and nothing in between. And so
it's got to be such a challenge. Like, you feel like you've ever been in one of those relationships where it's like, I'm never wrong. You're always wrong. And it's like there's a lot of finger pointing.
That's exactly right.
And then there you are 10 years later just going, oh, let's just get a divorce. This sucks.
Right.
So
and it can wear you out. And the Capitol has a way of just bringing out your worst attributes. So if you tend to get paranoid, or if you tend to be insecure, or if you tend to get angry really quickly, that place will highlight it. It really does bring out those worst.
Expose it.
It'll expose it, because you're in this high pressure situation of trying to get a bill passed in 60 days, and it is not an easy feat. It very rarely do bills, when they get introduced that year, pass for both chambers and head to the governor's office for her either signature or veto. So over 1,000 bills will get introduced, and you're talking maybe 25, 30 that will,
It's like, how do you keep track of all that? That's the other thing I always wondered, is like, how do you keep track of all the new laws that are passed and all the new regulations? It's like, there's just, I just picture some poor bastard in the back room being like, this is illegal, this is not illegal, this is changed. It's like redlining on the, like, I just figured like there's a big board of all the laws, and then there's just some poor bastard in there like redlining it.
Well, I know a lot of attorneys go to continuing legal services. I know a lot of doctors too. It's mandated. Accountants will have to do it, where they have to go and say, these are the laws that were passed this year, and these are the changes that you need to make.
Sure.
So everybody tries to stay on top of
Well,
those
it's always,
things.
Again, continuing education for any industry, especially even in real estate too. It's like we have to make sure our continuing education's up to see what changes are taking place and how it affects the consumer. So public service, that's why you always want to hire a professional, whether it is a CPA, real estate broker.
That's exactly
people that
right.
are on top of what's going on here locally. But speaking of what's going on here locally, housing has always been on the forefront, and affordable housing in particular. We've seen a lot of people move in from out of state, bring out of state money in here, drive the prices up, and a lot of the locals are having a hard time affording homes. But Mayor Keller's office has done a good job with their Housing Forward initiative, at least kind of bringing on some new ways to bring on some affordable housing. So $7.5 million approved for housing here in Albuquerque. City Council approved $7.5 million for affordable housing and community development. Albuquerque City Council unanimously approved $7.5 million in state funding allocated toward transformative affordable housing and community development in downtown and the Borealis neighborhood. So for instance, Lomas Towers, conversion of Lomas Towers, which is the original 14-story Wells Fargo building, turning it into 100 to 120 workforce housing units. So, a lot of these old commercial buildings, you can see here, are going through a transformation and being repurposed. The Romero project in Borealis, $1.93 million. It'll be a mixed-use development offering 69 affordable apartments alongside commercial and live workspace. So it's just cool to see, transformation and our city evolving to kind of tackle those problems in affordable housing.
Oh, I'm really happy to see that. There's this, I have two rules that I go by up in Santa Fe, which has allowed me to be able to be up there and do my work successfully for 25 years. And my two rules are, if you can't say anything good, don't say it at all,
of course.
Especially about people. And the second rule is I try not to have opinions about things that I don't personally work on. These are not my issues. But I do believe in my as a core value that housing is a human right. And I've seen these buildings empty. It leaves it open for
vandalism,
bad things to happen. If they could use it for good, that'd be great. great. There's also this other book out there, it's called Abundance, and I think everybody should be reading this book because it talks about the middle class and the struggle with the middle class, you know, and that cities are not building as quickly as we hope they would. They're not building the high-speed railways, you know, from LA to San Francisco, where, you know, that was on the map years ago, and now it's like nix that because nobody, even though everybody wants all of these cars off the road, they just don't want a rail going through in their backyard.
Not in my backyard.
Yeah, and so in San Francisco is the same way. They were talking about in San Francisco, yes, I mean, everybody, especially Democrats, progressives, tend to believe that housing is a right for people and everybody should have a house, just not in my backyard. And I'm grateful that our mayor is saying, no, that's not happening. People have a right. And so if we could refurbish these old buildings that are not being used and they're using it for housing, I say good for him, and I'm glad that it's happening.
Absolutely. And you're a West Sider, right?
Yes.
So West Side typically, so when working in real estate, the majority of our business is helping people find and relocate to Albuquerque. And so when the majority of the people come in, it's, you know, they love our affordability, and you see what you can get on the West Side. You know, our median home price is right around $360K, which nationally is below where most places are. And so a lot of people, when they move here, will move to the West Side, and I think you can speak to that. It's grown. There's much new construction and amenities over there.
You know, we moved to the West Side in 1987, 1988, around that time period, and they were practically giving land away. You know, I mean, and we were a house on sand. There was nothing around us, so when those spring winds would come in, it was just like, it was you couldn't see
just
your
a
hand in front
factory,
of you. Yeah, it was just. But you know, it's been really amazing to see how much the West Side has grown. And, you know, you have big, beautiful houses up on the petroglyphs right off Unser, and it's just, it's really, really neat to see all the different businesses that are happening down there. I'm telling you, when I moved there, we had a Wendy's, and that was it. There was nothing.
Friday night at Wendy's?
Friday night at Wendy's. You know, if you want to go to
it.
a restaurant, you had to go to the other side of town. And so it's just really neat to see that growth on the West Side and
that traffic now.
And the traffic and, you know, and new creative things that are coming in.
Let's talk about new creative things that are going in, because Books on the Bosque is kind of a community space that you've developed to get people to hang up and hang out.
Right.
Come join the real life. Let's chat about books. Let's do some community events there. So what the heck is Books on the Bosque? Well,
we're an independent bookstore where we opened in October of 2022, so we haven't quite been open 3 years, so very, very new. We're in our toddler stage right now, and we really built from ground zero up, and it's just been fantastic. In that time, in the 3 years, we have established great relationships with our customers. We have so many regulars coming through now where we're friends with, we know by name, and it's fun to talk to them about different books. And we've also, you know, introduced book clubs, and we have about 10 of them right now, and it's just a fantastic way to get people together. And these book clubs have grown so much. I'm not kidding you. They're big, but, you know,
but 4,000 square feet, so it's not just a bookstore. We're looking at your website. There's places for book clubs to gather and chat.
And author events.
So talk more about some of the events that you guys host.
So we do a lot of author events and bring in a lot of local authors, and we also are bringing in a lot of national authors to the store. In fact, this October we have 7 of the most amazing horror authors who are coming in. They're the new Stephen Kings. I'm telling you, their books are so good when you read them. And we're going to have an event on October 10th at the Hispanic Cultural Center for that. And
what I think makes your bookstore stand out is, you know, these are not just the daily books that you'll find at the airport on a newsstand. These are curated authors and books that you have found, whether it's local authors or kind of off the top 10 charts that maybe people don't know about.
If you know, I was talking about the horror authors. If I say Philip Fracassi, who's an amazing author, have you ever heard of him? No? Have you seen, but you know Stephen King?
Yes.
And you could get Stephen King at Costco.
All day.
And Target and all of those places, but you're not going to get Philip Fracassi there. And, you know, no, I'm not not saying that Stephen King's a terrible author. He is Stephen King. He is the king of horror, and he is good for what he is. But if you want to look into what who those other authors are, who are equitable in their writing and their style and their story development, then come over to an independent bookstore and talk to a local booksellers, and they will recommend those types of books.
That's what I like is you have the local bookseller. So it's the personal connection. It's not just a review you're reading on Amazon.
Right.
It's somebody that goes, hey, you know what? I don't think that one's for you, but you're going to love this one.
That's right. And I've said to folks, I've seen books and I'm like, not a, if you like, but if that's something that you might be interested, let's look at this book because it's a much, much better one.
You're like a sommelier.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, it's really neat. And then when they read it and they come back and they say, thank you for recommending that book.
What else you got for me?
What else do you have? And so all of our booksellers are really, really good, and they're very well read. They'll read anywhere between 10 and 12 books a month. All of them. And so they have a lot of experience, and they could guide you into whatever book that you're interested in reading. So
it's also a family business. I mean, your daughter is the store manager.
Yes, she is.
So which is important because you have to have a millennial or a Gen Z to handle social media and connecting with people her age.
That's
because
exactly
let's
right.
be honest, books it's not one of the things that you picture young kids getting together to do on a Friday night or whatever, doing book club.
Then you got to come to our store because it's packed full of young people. And I opened that store for the young adult population. I had been through a lot with Desiree and going through her high school, the anxieties, the dramas, and all the things that young people are dealing with right now. And I was so sickened by that. And we're doing something wrong in our society that so many kids are feeling this. And if you see the rise of cell phone use and you see the rise of anxiety and depression, those parallel and they're going together on the same track. And so it was always my desire to say, let's put your phone down, tap into your imagination, and get into a book. And also get in with other people who love to read. And Desiree I always encouraged reading. And I remember her in high school feeling embarrassed. She would hide her books and she was embarrassed because her friends would make fun of her or, all of those types of things. But now, if I were to have known, I would have set her up in a place where she's around other people, like going to a book club. And we have a romantasy book club. And all of them are 20, 30-something-year-old women for the most part who get together and they talk and then they go hang out afterwards and go out to eat and just do all kinds of fun stuff.
Well, let's talk about the startup of the company because it's always a risk starting a business. But what was your biggest leap of faith moment in your startup journey?
My leap of faith was COVID, really, and how everybody isolated and how like I said, I watched as my daughter and others, her peers, just got really lonely. And I think a lot of adults did too, if we're willing to talk about those things. I mean,
Not me.
We're dealing
I don't have feelings.
Yeah, we deal with the same thing too. We deal with anxiety and depression and all of those things. And we also get wrapped into our phones and you're like, before you know it, you've wasted 45 minutes of your life looking at Facebook and with nothing to really show forth afterwards. So, watching COVID and then realizing that this beautiful space opened up over in Riverside Plaza. And right when I saw it, I just knew, I'm like, this is the time. We have to do something, and we have to do something for young people. And if I could get one kid to put down his or her phone for 10 minutes a day and engage in a book, I feel like I've succeeded.
Yeah, I was going to say, can you share a time when the neighborhood showed you just how much they needed a space like Books on the Bosque?
I think it's in the results and in the comments that we're hearing now. I think most people were kind of quiet, and then once they got established, I've heard people say, I never left my house, and this store has brought me community.
Nice.
And it's a safe place for me to be. No matter who I am, no matter what color of skin, if I'm gay, if I'm straight, it doesn't matter. I just want to belong somewhere.
Yeah, that's sweet.
And I really wanted to provide that. It's not a bar. It's not, a restaurant where you kind of come and go. It's a place where you could come and sit down and relax. We have a cafe area, so people come and work and they buy a sandwich from the store and, you know, relax and eat, or they join the book clubs or whatever events that we have going on, and they connect in that way with other people. And it has brought a lot of healing to a lot of people over the course of 3 years.
Talk more about connection and healing. Has there been a specific time, like a most rewarding reaction from a student, a parent, a teacher, or anybody after? You know, as a mom called and said, "Hey, you know, my kid is thanks for having him over."
Right. I think it more or less comes from adults, you know, like who are in their 20s and 30s. I haven't had the parent conversation, but younger people who say, we're so grateful for this place. We're so grateful for this community. Oh, it makes it so worth it.
Well, because I can imagine too, I mean, look, starting a business, number one, is costly. And, you know, book business, you never know how that's going to be received, like in the economy. And and I know I would imagine profits are not going to be, you know, as massive as like a Barnes and Noble.
They're razor sharp. They are razor sharp. That said, but I will say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was just saying, but I think you do it for the feeling, for the community to give back as well.
Yes, for the feeling in the community. Yes, people could go to Costco and get their books there, and they could also buy a mattress while they're at it, and a television while they're at it, and all of maybe even glasses, right? It's great. Good for you, Costco. You know, but that's...
It's very transactional.
It's very transactional. There's nothing there. You get your book and you go, you may have bought a good book, maybe not. You know, you just don't know. So that's, you know, why... But so they could offer 20% off, 25% off their books and put the sticker on. So, I mean, yes, it's hard to compete. It's also hard to compete with Amazon, where you could just immediately get your book and have it there on your doorstep in 2 days.
Sure.
Because we can't carry every book. And so we have to be selective in what we buy, but we're providing an experience for people. We're providing the community. We're doing panels to educate people. We, you know, like I said, we do the clubs, crochet classes, sign language classes, that's a very new thing that we've been doing at the store, and they've been well attended. Those types of things, and you know, someone could build lifelong friendships with other.
As a business owner and as a bookstore owner, what's something about the book business that maybe totally caught you off guard now that you're 3 years into?
You know, what type of books people buy?
Really?
Yes, I really thought, and you know, because I read a lot of political and a lot of nonfiction books, and those just don't sell as much as
nice little beach read. I'm going to read the VCR manual too.
Reads. They want science fiction is like our best selling. Believe it or not,
I think my wife is into what is it? Dragon
romance.
romance.
It's a new genre that they've built, and it's essentially romance and fantasy mixed together. Romantasy and
do a lot of gentlemen buy those?
Yes, they do. We have men who say, "I'm buying this for my wife."
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Back again.
Yeah, exactly. I need the second book.
That's funny. So if Books on the Bosque were a character in a novel, what role would it play in the story of Albuquerque? That's a deep question. That took me a while.
That's a very deep question.
Yeah, what role does Bosque play in the story of Albuquerque?
I think the character and the role is, if you want to come and for people to know your name, like Cheers.
Yeah, the Cheers of the West Side.
Cheers of the West Side, you know, and hi,
welcome back. Here's your dragon porn.
Hi, Skip. It's good to see you. Here's your dragon porn. You know, have fun with that. Tell me what you think. And those types of things. It's just like, we are your neighborhood store. And I really think that, you know, I'm not here, I don't compete with what other stores doing. If that's their location, page 1 is over there up in the Northeast Heights, go to page 1. Go, support it.
Local, yeah.
Support your local bookstores, because, yes, profit margins are very slim. I mean, nobody signs up to say, I'm going to be a bookstore owner and become a millionaire. Like, you don't see that in, you know, what am I going to do when I grow up? I'm going to own a bookstore, and yes, you're on track for making millions.
I'm going to revive the Dewey Decimal System.
That's right. but those community type things, and getting to know people, and I feel like I'm so rich on the inside because of that.
Well, you definitely glow when you talk about it, and I feel like it's got to be a complete different change from, you know, working in politics, because I know you're still doing that full time as well. But you know, what was it? Netflix had House of Cards, and I'm not sure if you ever watched
Oh,
House
yes.
of Cards, but I think it's you know, to speak to what you were saying, is that you're very supportive of other businesses when it comes to books, like support local, go to Page One, whatever. Like that's your main competition. So you're supportive, but I think in politics it's more like House of Cards, behind the scenes, who's plotting against each other. So
Right.
you have like a whole nother,
a
whole nother side that you see.
And that's still there, right? You know, that kind of stuff still happens, and it's everywhere you go. Competition is competition. And when things get tough, you know, you just hope that people are coming to your place and, you know, and supporting your store.
But talk more about what goes on behind the scenes in politics or at meetings at the Roundhouse.
Oh, I love this question.
Yeah, because I think that, you know, a lot of people just turn on, you know, Channel 4 and they see, oh yeah, there was a meeting today, what are they, 4 new laws, got it, whatever.
Yeah.
But how do we get there, and what goes on behind the scenes, and what kind of backroom deals are actually being made?
That's really good. And, you know, I think what I'll start by saying is, are you familiar with the Schoolhouse Rock?
Yeah,
How to
of
pass
course.
a bill, you
Yep.
know, and it seems so linear. You started in, you know, one chamber, you get your 2 committee assignments. It goes then, you know, if you get through the committee process, it goes then to the House floor. Hopefully get it passed off the House floor. Then you get 2 committee assignments in the Senate, and then the Senate floor. Hopefully it passes all of that, you know, and then it goes up to the governor for her to either sign or veto, right?
Start over.
So it sounds linear, but it is not. It is a Rube Goldberg process. You put the marble in here, you're going up and down and round, and you know, and hopefully your marble doesn't go flying off its tracks, right? So, so it is a very complicated process, and I don't think people really understand. They say, well, how come you can't just do X, Y, and Z? Why is it
what's the
taking you so,
holdup?
what's a holdup? You know, and people don't understand. You got over 1,000 bills that get introduced in a year in a 60-day session, and you only have so much time to get these things done. And there's so many people vying, trying to get their bills scheduled.
So
in
what
committees
is your
and heard.
role in getting a bill passed or?
Well, I mean, part of it is that whole process, you know, the drafting of the legislation. So somebody will come up to me and say, you know, Deborah, my name is Skip. I'm looking to hire a lobbyist to work on housing issues. You know, these are the problems that we're seeing. And so we'll work with our council services, who are the attorneys upstairs, and we draft the legislation. And so get all of that going. And then, you know, these things bills just don't appear in January. You run it usually through the interim process, start talking, you know, building your grassroots operation, getting people involved, and then you take your bill up to Santa Fe. And, you know, and then you start that whole process and hope it works. And rarely does a bill pass in its first year. So, so you have to, you know, I've spent 13 to 15 years working on bills, trying to get them passed.
So you're a lobbyist. So do you spend time whining and dining and trying to
That's like the
manipulate?
right. It's
Manipulate your way.
I mean, it's education, number one.
Thank you, spin
You
it.
know, sitting down, talking to you. This is what my bill does. You know, it's more of like coffee. You know, coffee conversations over here at Humble Cafe. I've been over there a million times, meeting with legislators and talking to them about bills. And you know, so that Rube Goldberg process is having to go into those back rooms, shutting the doors, and not walking out until you have a solution, you know, because there's interested groups on all sides.
Right.
And sometimes you don't realize it. You say, Deborah, I want to work on housing. Okay, that's great. Well, you're going to have a million other people who do not like what it is that you're trying to do.
They don't want houses.
They don't want houses. They don't want housing. I don't know.
And do you
Whatever
find
the issue is.
there is a huge influence in corporate-backed
Yes.
politicians that
Yeah.
are,
Yeah.
you can tell they're trying to say no. Like in their heart, they want to say yes to your bill because it makes sense.
Right.
But their special interests are telling them in their ear, you better not fucking say yes to this.
Well, I
type of
think
thing.
that, you know, it's the necessary evil. I mean, I really wish all legislators were publicly financed. I really do. And another thing, too, is I wish legislators were paid, and they're not, you know. You know, I wish and I'm sure there are politicians who, I mean, they dread having to make phone calls and say, can I get a check, you know, I'm working on this, or can you come to my fundraiser, that type of thing. You know, I know it's not easy for them, but it's part of the process, and this is what we're dealing with. And campaigns are getting more and more expensive to run.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of money getting thrown out there, and so, I mean, it's, there's a lot of legislators who refuse to take, I've known legislators who refuse to take like oil and gas money, or, if you're on the other side of things, they won't take it from the liberal groups.
I don't want wind and solar money.
They don't want wind and solar money or whatever. But so there are some people who are like that. But for the most part, it's like, I just got to raise money to get elected, and also
so that I can stay in office.
Yeah, so I can stay in office, or also help with some new candidates coming in, and because for non-incumbents, it's really, really hard to raise money.
Do you feel like it's shifted over the years, wherein the representatives aren't representing the people as much anymore?
Oh no, they do.
Yeah,
I think they do. Whether I agree with the person or not, I think their heart is always in the right place. Why would anybody go up to Santa Fe and endure what we have to do for free?
Got it.
And so I really firmly believe, whether I agree with the person or not, that they're in it for all the right reasons. You have 112 legislators coming from different corners of the state, different value systems, different forms of education, different jobs. They all bring that to the Capitol every year. Their constituents represent something different, in Roswell compared to Albuquerque. I mean, it's like but in the end, we're all human beings, and we all want the same thing: to provide for our families, to be able to afford to buy food and put food on the table, their kids to get educated. The bottom line is we all have those shared values, and we have to focus on that when we're up in Santa Fe. What are our shared values? And so how we go about that is very different. Skip, you may think one way and I may think another, but it's like, we're not leaving this room until we come into an agreement on this and figure this out. So sometimes that agreement never comes, and then you just got to fight it out and count your noses. And because it just doesn't happen. But I never have hard feelings towards people who vote against something that I believe in. I really don't.
Well, you have to respect other people's point of view, and as long as they're not doing it just to torpedo you, just to be a dick, then it's, all right, what are you going to do?
Right.
You win some, you lose some.
That's right.
And I think that takes a lot, and I think you have a really cool perspective on, how things work behind the scenes, small business owner. I think you're just everything that is YouABQ, and we appreciate you giving back to the community, but also all the stuff that you do behind the scenes to push agenda forward and keep New Mexico growing, because like I said, we're slow to grow, baby.
Yeah, we're slow to grow, but that's okay. We're just an amazing group of people here. So gritty, so hardworking, and whenever I travel across the state for committee hearings and things like that, I get to look and see different people and see where they're at and their points in their lives. And I just think it's a beautiful place to live. The people here are beautiful. And
I agree, and I think you have a beautiful story.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll have links to books on the Bosque, and hopefully we can generate some interest and some business for you, and we'll help you grow. And I really appreciate you stopping by today to share your story.
I appreciate it, Skip. Come by and I'll hook you up with some good books.
I love that. I love that. Deborah Condit, owner of Books on the Bosque. That about wraps it up. Every Wednesday night here on the Education Channel, Sunday morning, and worldwide on YouTube. This is YouABQ.
You're watching YouABQ.